going on, guys? I'm Brock O'Hearn. I'm here at the Rockstar Garage, and we are getting my truck ready for King of the Hammers. Now, one thing that I knew I needed was a good tire. The Mickey Thompson Baja Boss is something I've been waiting on for about a year. Finally got it, and it's aggressive. It is something I know is gonna help me not get stuck when I'm out there, and it's also something I know a lot of the guys running King of the Hammers are rocking, so I'm excited to see what it can do. I've been working on this truck for over 2 years. It's finally ready to go enjoy. I can take it any place, anytime. That's why I built it. And I don't think there's a better place to enjoy than King of the Hammers. One of the most insane, if not the most insane land race in the world. You've got hundreds of miles of desert. You got rocks. There's a million ways to break your truck, break your rig. And I'm excited to go watch it. So that's the whole plan. From food to tools to airing up and airing down with my power tank. I know I've got to get ready, so you can only imagine how ready these guys got to get for the race. Let's check in with the guys and see what they got to do to get prepared for the hardest race in the country.
We are kind of in the painstaking process of all the little stuff, the welding little tabs in and welding little brackets in and fitting this and fitting that. Today we worked all day on just fitting interior panels as far as the floor goes. It's pretty much all fitted, so now it's time to take it all back out and just go through and weld every single Zeus tab on. And that's the kind of stuff that, it's like, man, you get all the big stuff done, you get it to a roller, get the engine and tranny in it, and you're like, sweet, it's a roller. And we got a lot more to go.
We're here at the North Shore Raceworks shop. Behind us is our 4400 car Bambi. We're just getting her ready for King of the Hammers. We've got about 3 weeks left.
It doesn't look like it's almost done, but it's pretty close. We're waiting on a key component, the transmission. It's on a truck. Once we get that, we'll be buttoned up within probably a day or two. We're kind of at the final wiring, plumbing stage, just getting ready to fire the motor once we get the tranny. So it's pretty much at the finish line. Just got to push it that last little bit.
We're at Cody Wagner's compound. This is Lasertown. He's been gracious enough to let us use his compound today, and we've been basically running desert. From my understanding, from what everybody tells me, the faster you're in the desert, the better the car works in the rocks, just meaning the suspension works. So you want to make sure that the car is definitely desert tuned before you do anything. And then once you get into the rocks, hopefully you can just kind of pick your way through and have a good day. And so we've been out running pretty much whoops, the whoop sections of the course, just making sure that the car is controllable and functions through the whoops.
We are here at January Off-Road in Simi Valley, California. We're getting pretty close. This is a mostly new car for this year. We made a lot of changes over the last 12 months, and we're only a couple short weeks away from getting ready to prove it out at King of the Hammers. We made a lot of significant changes to the suspension and just the overall chassis design in certain parts where we felt like it could have been improved. We really went a little bit overkill on the front end, but now that I've kind of heard some hints about the course this year, I think it's going to be just enough.
You know, when Dave started this thing 12 years ago or something, we were watching it on a webcam online, and you know, just instantly hooked. We're like, man, those trails are awesome. We got to get out there. And then you know, it took, I don't know, 10 years, but we finally did it.
As a kid, I wanted to be an off-road race car driver. When I was a little kid, that's what I wanted to be. And like, Hammers is like my little bit of desert racing and like trophy truck style, going out in the desert and flying, going fast. But once you experience Hammers, it's something else. It's got this weird vibe aura about Hammers. It's, I don't know, it's crazy. There's really nothing else that compares to it.
The coolest thing is going to Hammertown before Hammertown's there, right? And then seeing the evolution of just this empty, dry lake bed with literally nothing there, just tumbleweeds. And then 2 weeks later, it's a full-blown town.
This area will jump from what it is now to probably between 50 and 100,000 people. So literally, this would be one of the bigger towns in Wyoming if it were an actual town. Right. So I mean, it changes over the course of 10 days. So it's amazing how fast this comes up. And I mean, there's food vendors, there's parts, I mean, pretty much anything you need to keep your car going or keep you going is in Hammertown.
Hammers, I think by far is probably my favorite. You know, it's just the whole wide open, everything, it's desert, it's rocks. You're out here kind of to be yourself at some point. You know, it's in a lap race, everything's a little more high strung, a little more stress out here. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still stress, there's still everything that goes along with that, but you're kind of out on your own and you're able to settle into your groove and not really have to be, you're pushing yourself. And that's instead of having everybody jockeying for positions.
I think the car prep is my number one, right? I think 75% of doing well in the race is having the car right. Obviously all your pre-running and your notes, and there's a little bit of luck involved too. I mean, everybody's gonna make a mistake or two on race day. It's whether you can get away with it or not. And then just keeping a cool head and staying calm and driving as hard as you can.
I mean, you really got to be on your game. You got to be thinking the whole time. There's big holes out in the desert that can just eat your lunch. There's rocks that are going to kill a tire or wheel anywhere and everywhere hidden. If you're going to try and pass somebody and you decide to step out off the main race course, there's always something out there that could grab you. So that's where you want to pre-run more than anything. You want to know the course. You want to know the alternate lines. You want to do your homework before you actually get out on course. And if you can do that, a lot of times you can pick your way and be faster than most of the guys out there and have a very fluid day is what you're after.
It's definitely going to be a brutal course this year. There's 6+ trails on the list that was posted that I've never even heard of. So it is going to be a hell of a race. I think on the list that I've read, it was 18 trails on lap 2 and 23 trails on lap 3. So, and knowing Dave, he's not going to make any of those new trails easy. So it's going to be a long ass day. I know that for a fact, and I just hope that we can stay moving and get through it as smooth as possible.
The 4800 class, because of the rules, you can have a ton of horsepower. I mean, it may help in certain situations, but it may not. It really comes down, being that you're on a DOT tire and you're on a 37 in the rocks. A lot of the, I'd say a lot more of it is driver, and I think I'm right up there with him. Last year I qualified 7th and finished 7th, second year racing KOH ever, so I confidently think I can do it.
We run a higher horsepower engine for more short course stuff, and we decided to purchase a second engine that's lower horsepower for the long course stuff, just because it gives us the ability to run the longer endurance stuff with a more reliable motor, and less power in the rocks is a lot of times a good thing, because A, you're not breaking as many parts, and B, you're not blowing the tires off the car every time you drop off something.
You know, having 8 shocks definitely lets you fine tune your shocks way more. It's a lot softer. Tire size is a big one, stuff that we clean the top of the rock off with 37s. They have more belly height, more axle height on 40s, and they can clear a lot more stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what makes 4400 so unique, right? Because it's a truly open class. Really, the only rules are safety related, right? Harnesses, roll cage sizes, etc. But as far as suspension, wheel and tire size goes, engine, driveline, it's all open. You can do whatever you want.
It's growing rapidly, and you know, you're seeing a lot bigger names in this class specifically. You know, and then a lot of the OG King of the Hammers racers, you know, they have a lot of years under their belt, and they're not getting any worse any year. You know, everyone's getting better. So the bar is constantly raising, and you got to keep up or get out.
You know, like you said, the budgets are varying wildly, and with the latest like injection of manufacturer money from Ford and Polaris, et cetera, right? Like, you do have some of these teams that have multi-million-dollar budgets a year. So for a team like us, which is more grassroots, right? Like, we're trying to, you know, obviously put our best foot forward, but also we don't have unlimited dollars, right? So we're rebuilding our own differentials, doing our own engine work, you know, doing all of our own fabrication. There's really nothing that we outsource, right? We try to do everything in-house to try to keep those costs down. But then, you know, the Hammers trails, that's the ultimate equalizer, right? So what you've seen in years past is, you know, Randy Slauson won last year in a very simple, robust, durable buggy, right? And some of those guys that are spending $500,000 on cars are, you know, they're at the leading edge of technology, which is really awesome, but it also takes time to develop that technology to make it durable enough to finish the race.
Once a year we call it the Hammers prep, right? The car comes completely apart. I mean, every nut and bolt gets touched, every wire. So it gets stripped right down. It literally takes a day and a half to 2 days to strip it. All the metal parts go to sandblast. That usually reveals all the cracks that you couldn't see and get those fixed. motor, tranny, transfer case, axles, everything gets rebuilt. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's over 1,000 hours in putting it together every year. That's probably light, to be honest with you. Like, it's always the goal to make sure that car is perfect. We check it and check it and check it, and hope everything holds together.
I think we feel pretty good. I think Dan and I together have the skills. We put in the work. We work just as hard as anybody else out here, trying to figure out our lines and do our pre-running and just make sure that our homework is done. Everything is marked in the GPS and we are prepared. Working with Wayne, he's got the car working really well and the car is very fast. Mechanically, we'll get the bugs worked. We just put the new motor in, so we got a few bugs right now, but we'll get those all worked out. And I feel pretty confident that we're gonna have a good race. So the car's been completely gone through, the tranny's been rebuilt, the motor's brand new, the T-case has gone through, the rear ends are gone through, the axles are new. I mean, everything is ready. So granted, a 5-cent O-ring can take you out of a race, but at the same time, you do your best homework and you do your best prep so that you can get yourself through the race and know that you're not just gonna go out and win it in the first 50 miles. You're gonna, it's gonna take the whole course to get you through.
We've always completed hammers, knock on wood. There's gonna be a time we don't. So it's good to say we finished them all. To me, a lot of that just goes back to the car prep and the game plan, right? Making sure you got a cool head, you don't overdrive the car. The goal this year is to go out and push again and get considerably higher up. We're shooting for a top 10 this year. I would really like to see that, and I think we're fully capable of being there. A lot of it just comes to game plan and execution and a little bit of luck. So.
Oh, Dan and I show up and literally get the GPS card, and we jump in something and just start making notes and making laps. So it is, like I said, doing your homework is the most important thing out here. It's gonna save your life, it's gonna save your car, it's gonna help you do or be successful in your race. If you don't put in the time, I would hate to actually try and run this thing because it's dangerous if you don't, honestly.
When we go out and pre-run, we go through and we mark a ton of stuff out in the desert. Stuff that'll sneak up on you, stuff that'll get you, big G outs, like a nasty section of whoops, tire killers, whatever. We just go through and mark those and label them, put them back into the race car GPS, and then as we're going through during the race, it's just kind of my job to help call those out, give them a heads up that something's coming up.
It's literally a slower version of the race itself. You're not running full pace, but you're really just out there taking your time, making sure you're marking all of the dangers, all of the turns. Which way is the wind going to be blowing on race day? If it's blowing, east, I need to be picking a lane over here. If it's blowing west, I need to be looking at lanes over here. And if I'm picking a lane over here, I need to mark the dangers in that lane.
It's kind of a balancing act between you want to put miles on the car to shake it down, but you also want to not put too many miles on it because the race is really tough on it. So the big thing is just tons of pre-running. Try to get maybe 100, 150 miles in the desert on the race car ahead of time. Then just change all the fluids, check all the nuts and bolts, and get it ready for race day.
This race is very well known for wiping out the fastest guys or the fastest cars. You absolutely do not have to be the fastest, or have the fastest top speed or be the fastest driver or whatever. It's not about that. You need to be consistent, you need to be smooth, because it is a long day.
Our regional races are a 2.5 hour sprint. So you're killing it. You're wide open the entire time. Or KOH is 200 miles or whatever it's way different mentality. And I think that's where good drivers do so well at KOH versus, the people that race race your regional races and do KOH, the people that do both. If you can set your mindset in either style, it makes a big difference come race day. I'm thinking if we can do the same thing with this car, kind of just put it in that cruise control mode where it's comfortable, where you're kind of on the edge, but you're not.
Lap 1's the easy part of the race. Lap 2 is the second easiest part. Lap 3 is where you will shake down and rattle every single bolt loose possible.
It feels way faster in the passenger seat because you don't have control, right? You don't have the steering wheel, you don't have the brakes. Most importantly, the brakes.
You're going fast. You're doing stuff that most people wouldn't do. But you also got to balance like looking out and staring at your screen. As a co-driver, your most important job is to call stuff out to the sky. At the same time, it's really easy to be, if I have 4 call-outs in a row, be staring at the screen and you hit a G out and now my back hurts because I didn't tense up for it, So as a co-driver, the hardest thing for me is balancing, looking out versus staring at the screen and giving the information they need.
How a tire looks after KOH, tires are more destroyed after a KOH race than they are after 3 East Coast races. It's insane. You get done with KOH, tire looks like you took a cheese grater to it. So a tire that works well at KOH is definitely huge.
Yeah, this race really tests almost every aspect of off-road, right? It's got the high-speed desert, it's got the those goat trails where you're banging over all those little basketball-sized, gnarly, sharp rocks, and then it's got the huge rocks like on Outer Limits and Sledgehammer, right? Those things are no joke. So the tires really got to be very well-rounded and super durable.
First tire brand that I ran was okay. It worked. It was just something that I kind of had easy access to. I ran them. The Mickey's definitely made just substantial difference in the rocks. You can tell a big difference in the rocks between the tires I was running and going to the Baja Boss MTs. They handle good. That's one thing I kind of noticed too, is they've got that power ply sidewall, and you can definitely tell the difference in the race car as far as how they handled.
Initially, the tire was really good grip-wise, really good traction. I mean, a phenomenal trail wheeling tire. It lacked a little bit on the durability and running at race pace.
Our first year we had a number of flats, but immediately they jumped on it and worked with us to develop the new 4-ply sidewall, really improved the durability a ton. And now I'd say, it's right up there with the BFG and the Nitto.
No, it's awesome. They look for that feedback constantly. So, after each race, or if we go testing, there's feedback. We're sending tires back to them. We're testing different pressures and liners and really trying to elevate this tire to make sure that we can put this thing up on the podium.
Even running the super sticky, tire wear isn't even a problem. Like you walk up to one of these things and twist one of the knobs and you think you can pull it right off the tire right there, but they handle the desert, they handle the wheel spin, but they absolutely grab in the rocks. And I haven't felt another tire like it, and it's amazing what you can put these things through and how good they look after.
You know how it's going to corner, you know how it's going to bite, you know how it's going to get you through a turn, you know how it's going to land a jump. I've had really good success on them. I've had to change my driving style a little bit because the Maxxis has a bias ply sidewall, which is definitely a little heavier and a little tougher. So I could just throw the car into anything and I didn't really worry about eating the sidewall. These you got to be a little bit more conservative with, but by the same token, you've got side bite with these tires, whereas the Maxxis, the Trepador, was more of an ag tire, so it had the linear bite. And so when you cornered, you'd kind of, sometimes if you weren't careful, you'd literally drift right off the track. So just because you didn't have that side bite. The Toyos were just kind of a starter tire. They were cheap and I didn't have any sponsors, and so they worked good and they served their purpose, but by far and away, the Mickey's probably the best tire I've driven.
I'm running them right now, so I have them on multiple vehicles myself. So I have them on a 2020 Gladiator, which is kind of a combo rig. I daily drive it a bunch in the summer, and then it's got 5 seats, so I can take the whole family out. So that I've ran both the DOT and the sticky on, 40-inch tires. They work really well around here. Got enough grip to, on the loose sand and mud and get over the tree roots and all that stuff.
Yeah, Jeremy's awesome, right? He drives a car very similar to ours. It's a Trent Fab solid axle car in 4800. That dude can drive, right? He's always up there at the top. He's always one of the favorites in 4800. I think Tad mentioned it, but a couple of years, or actually earlier this summer, I threw my back out right after qualifying at Moab. He's a chiropractor, so he tried to straighten me out. Unfortunately, it wasn't taken, so his co-driver Dan Young jumped in the car.
Stroke of luck, we happened to be there at the same time. They run a Trent Fab top shelf chassis just as a 44 car, and I got the chance to jump in Moab and run shotgun for a 44 race, which is pretty sweet. It's a totally different animal. Tad is he's a little more aggressive. which is, it's cool to see. It definitely helps kind of see the difference between stuff.
He's familiar with the tires. He's familiar with the Trent Fab chassis, so he was able to just get in right away and really help Tad through that race. So. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he's always one of the favorites, right? There's probably 10 or 12 guys in that class that are capable of winning the Hammers, and he's right up there. I expect that car to be super well prepped. Him and Dan always do a great job pre-running and marking out of the course. So, as long as he doesn't have any problems, I'd expect him to be right up there on the podium.
Yeah, so I've met the North Shore guys, I think once. Seem like cool guys. They passed me last year while I was down a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year. But no, I think we finished like almost back to back last year. So I know they're quick, and I know they got a good car. So the solid axles are definitely going to be one to watch. Especially if some of these new trails that really nobody's seen yet are super tight and technical.
Really, our cars are on different ends of the spectrum, right? Like ours is very simple, old school, straight axle car, and his is the best of the best, right? It's independent front and rear suspension, portal axles. It's a rad machine, right? And he's super fast. He always qualifies right up towards the top. He's super fast in the desert sections, and as long as he can hold that car together in the rocks, he'll be right there.
I speculate that I think Jordan's going to do just fine. I think he's a talented driver, and I think that he's got a good team behind him, and I think that they've got enough seasons under that car to know what it can and can't do and what was wrong with it, and maybe they fixed all of that, and I'm really hoping he has a good year.
Man, it'd be cool to ride in one, feel it, see how it is, see the difference. But there's got to be something to it. There's a lot of guys moving towards that way, so it'll be cool to see. It'll be cool to watch.
First car was a Gold Belt Ibex chassis. Raced that for 5 seasons, and just this previous Cranon race, the fall race in Cranon, barrel rolled it like 2.5 times, and it destroyed the chassis. It racked the chassis probably 2 to 3 inches at the top, and once we started tearing it apart, it was pushed sideways, and it was pushed twisted, and it wasn't worth fixing. And been wanting to build a new car for a couple years, something lower, stronger, and faster, basically. I'm sure like anybody else, we'd much rather be a lot farther along than we are. But it works pretty good. A good friend of mine, Chris Rose, has designed everything in CAD, so he can send me files, we can cut them and bend them and do all that stuff here. It's going together as well as it can be. I mean, we only started a few weeks ago, and within the first week, it was a rolling chassis. So we had it all tacked together in a day. Last car was a lot of saving up and learning too. The last car went through a lot of, we've evolved every season, changing stuff. Where this one, we're trying to just start with what we want in the beginning, all the best stuff. And hopefully that's, we can just not have to change it every year. We just keep racing it every year and maintain it. We're almost there. We're getting close.
That would be tough, man. That's a lot of work to get done in 2 weeks. There's always the quote unquote the new car blues. Hopefully there's none of those for him. But it's tough to go in with a brand spanking new car and have 0 issues. So being able to have the car prepped and running and be able to come out here and not only shock tune, but able to go out and kind of wring the car out a little bit and see what comes up and see what needs to be taken care of. We had a handful of issues just today, a couple alternators, battery, couple small things that are huge to be able to take care of that now before we get into race week and spending the time working on the race car instead of being able to pre-run. So having it prepped and ready to go, I think is a pretty significant advantage. Fingers crossed, hopefully gets the stuff together, gets out here so we can get in there with him again.
Whether we finish it here or finish it on the lake bed, we're racing one way or the other.
So yeah, we're about 3 weeks from heading to the lake bed. We'll be heading out to the Hammertown, the full crew. I don't think you can understand it unless you go experience it. And to be honest with you, I don't even, as a racer, it's hard to even tell you that because we don't get to experience it at the level that a spectator would because we're busy the whole time. But it is just incredible to drive out there. I mean, I live in this little tiny town, which would be a small, tiny portion of Hammertown. And just to see that many fans and spectators and vendors show up for this one event just tells you how special it is. And then to me, like the logistics and and just getting everybody there and safe and having a great time is just, it's mind blowing. Like, it's crazy to see that many people come together for that event, and it just shows how hard it is and how, you know, awesome it is for people to see those cars do that and enjoy it.
Thanks, Mickey Thompson Tires, for helping me out again this season. You can follow along in the build. We post on JKS website, Instagram, Facebook. But yeah, we got to get back to work, get this thing finished up so we can go race.
We're just hoping to get everything put together, and again, I got to work my job to make a little bit of money to get out here, but we're hoping to get all of that done and make sure that we're on lakebed in plenty of time to pre-run.
I wish, you know, great luck and nothing but success for all of my you know, fellow teammates. We're going to get our car wrapped up, and I look forward to seeing everyone out there this year.
I just want to give a thanks to everybody that helped us get there. You know, friends, family, crew, and a big special thanks to Mickey Thompson for putting this on and doing this. Very, very excited to see what these tires do for us this year, and we're going to try our best to put this car up top.
As you can see, some of the guys are more ready than the others, but regardless, I'm excited to see them throw down the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. Now, I'm ready to rock, and I'm stoked to experience hammers for the first time, so let's hit it.